Good morning, students. Welcome to our ratios unit. This unit is over ratios, proportions, and percents. It has a lot to do with the information we find in chapters 5 and 6. We are first going to start by taking some notes over ratios. The color here that you need to take notes on is the color blue with this video. So anything written in blue you need to make sure you have in your notes. We're going to start first of all with the word ratio. A ratio is defined as a comparison of two quantities by division. A ratio can be written in three ways. The first way is a number to a number. For example, the ratio of 3 to 4. The second way is a number colon number, 3 colon 4. And the third way to write a ratio is a number over a number, like a fraction, 3 over 4. You'll see here that there is more of a slash, and that is because of the technology on the computer. But they look just like a fraction. A fraction can be a ratio. The next vocabulary word you're going to want to know is equivalent ratios. Those are two ratios that name the same number. We find equivalent ratios by finding equivalent fractions in the same way that we find equivalent fractions. For example, if our ratio was 3 to 4, an equivalent ratio would be 6/8, just like we have an equivalent fraction. The important thing here is to remember that what we do to the bottom of the fraction, for example, times 2, we do to the top of the fraction, times 2, to get our equivalent ratios here. Okay? Make sure you have this in your notes. If you need to pause the video to put this in your notes, that would be just fine. Here are some practice problems for us to practice our ratios with. The first problem says there are 7 red stripes and 6 white stripes on the flag of the United States. Write the ratio of red stripes to the white stripes in 3 ways. So we're going to say the ratio of red to white. Okay. The first way we can do using the word to, just like we see here on our first slide. So we can say 7 to 6. The second way to do it is to use a colon, as shown back on the previous slide. And that would be 7 colon 6. And the third way to write a ratio is writing it as a fraction. Just as you see here, a number over a number. So we would have 7 over 6. So those are the 3 ways to write a ratio. Next we find 2 ratios. Let's see here, there's a typo in our thing, on our slide. Find 2 ratios equivalent to 14 fourths. Okay, equivalent ratios. Remember, equivalent, the root word is equal, which means the same. So if we have 14 over 4, 2 ways I can find an equivalent ratio is, as I showed you on the previous slide, making sure we do the same thing to the bottom of the fraction that we do to the top of the fraction. So I can take both of these times 2, and I end up with 14 times 2 is 28. Over 4 times 2 is 8. that is one equivalent ratio. Or I can take, since these are both even numbers, I can divide them, excuse me, by 2. So let's divide both by 2, keep it simple here. 14 divided by 2 is 7. 4 divided by 2 is 2. So these two fractions here, 28 over 8, 7 over 2, are equivalent to 14 over 4. Our third and final problem that we have here, scroll down so we have more room on our page, let's extend it, says the ratio of girls to boys enrolled at King Middle School is 15 to 16. There are 195 girls and 208 boys in grade 8. Is the ratio of girls to boys in grade 8 the same as the ratio of girls to boys in the entire school? So, since we're saying girls to boys, our girls in our first ratio is going to be 15. 15 girls to 16 boys. Okay. In the 8th grade, we have 195 girls to 208 boys. Now, the easiest way to find out if these two numbers are equivalent is to cross multiply. So I can take this 15 times 208. When I do so, if I take on my calculator 208 times 15, I get 3,120. Now I'm going to take 16 times 95. I'm going to cross those. If I multiply on my calculator 195 times 16, I also get 3,120. Because these two numbers are the same, that means that the ratio 15 over 16 is equal to 195 over 208. So yes, that ratio is the same. Is the ratio of the girls, here's our question, is the ratio of the girls to boys in grade 8 the same as the ratio of girls to boys in the entire school? Our answer is yes, based on our cross multiplying. Okay? Now, if you need to re-watch this video or watch one of the videos from Mrs. Easmer or Mrs. Olson to help reinforce the use of ratios as far as finding, one page too far, as far as finding the definition, the 3 ways to write a ratio, or the definition of an equivalent ratio, you can feel free to re-watch the videos. They are there for your use. Okay? If you have any questions, please ask. Thank you and have a fabulous day.